Hey everybody, welcome back to Havoc Maker Studio. My name is John, and today I want to try to cover a couple subjects, but time is getting a little smaller. Some things came up, and I got to do today, but I at least want to get this one video out. So to start off with it, we're going to talk about the Firstborn Space Marines and how they're eventually getting rotated out. Some people in the past have disagreed with me, and that's totally fine. I'm a little bit behind my schedule. I said that they would be gone by 10th edition, which this is 10th edition, so conceivably the Firstborn Marines could be gone during this edition. Now, if you're not familiar, the Firstborn Marines are they're the Marines before the Primaris Marines, right? They're after the Thunder Warriors, but they're before the Primaris Marines. So what we've been using all the way since first edition, or Rogue Trader, all the way up till beginning of 8th edition, when we got the Primaris Marines, and they were still being used, but Primaris Marines have slowly been getting rotated out. Now, a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's just little minor instances, John. Don't worry about it. You're making a whole big deal out of nothing," and it isn't really anything. It's not like I'm trying to get accolades for being right about this, or you're welcome for my service, if you know that joke. It's just pointing out that this stuff is happening, and Games Workshop is very good at how they do these sort of, I don't want to say sinister things, but these, we're not doing this, and then they do it, right? So Games Workshop has this, for lack of a better term, this rotation policy, where they're going to rotate models out of their existing lines, and that's usually as a result of sales being the biggest driving force. As sales dwindle down for those models, that are going to eventually stop using those die-cast molds. For the most part, they're die-cast molds. I'm not sure what kind of molds they use for that horrible fine cast line that they eventually kind of got rid of. Bad idea, Games Workshop. But those die-cast molds will just be retired. I don't know if they destroy them. I imagine they're going to archive them, for, I don't know, historical purposes, or put them in their little museum area, or they're just going to destroy them. That way nobody can use them, which would make sense. They've made their money back on all those molds for the most part. So if that happens, something happens with the lore moving forward, where these models are no longer a part of the universe, whatever universe it is, whether it's 40K, Age of Sigmar, Blood Bowl, whatnot, they're going to move forward. And of course, if a new sculpt is introduced, so the model becomes outdated, and not necessarily outdated because there's a new model to represent them, that's usually after the fact. It might be that other lines within that game umbrella, let's say Warhammer 40,000, everybody else is moving forward with newer sculpts, newer redesigns, even newer units and whatnot. And if another army with their units and stuff is staying stagnant and it's not moving forward, well, it'll be time, hey, let's go ahead and look at revisiting this army line, and let's go ahead and rotate those models out with new sculpts, because everybody else is getting new sculpts, the lore's moving forward, and sales are down because sales are up on all these other models. And that's where we come with the Primaris Marines. Now, the Primaris Marines started in 8th edition, and they got better and better along the way. In fact, they were kind of a catalyst for other model or other army lines to get improvements, which was good. And it shows that the community wanted improvements across the board. Some of the stuff Games Workshop has done has been kind of hit or miss, but it, for the most part, has been a hit. So much that we're starting seeing bold redesigns over in Age of Sigmar and in Necromunda, and new games like Warcry and Underworlds. So it's been a really good thing that these developments are happening. Now, the other thing that goes along with the Firstborn being rotated out, rules-wise, what's going to be happening, here's kind of like the scenario of what will happen. New models are being made. We're retiring that model line. So what do we need to do? We got a lot of them printed. We want to keep them around, or we want to kind of limit our printing if we're going to keep printing off miniatures. Not using 3D printers. When I say print, I mean using their die-cast molds. So what they're going to do is slowly come out with replacements for, I don't know, a Space Marine chaplain on a bike. There's a good example. Space Marine chaplain on a bike original gets rotated to Legends. It's on its rotation out of circulation, right? And now a new one is brought in to replace it. That's the Primaris chaplain on a bike. All right, so we haven't gotten rid of that model because we said we wouldn't get rid of them, but it has been moved to Legends. And once it gets moved to Legends, it's usually in sync with, hey, this is made to order or last chance to buy. And when it gets to the last chance to buy, that's it. It's done. Usually, from what I've seen, first is it gets to a point, and it's really only for the older models, not the newer ones. But the older model kits, you'll see them get to move to Legends or about to get moved to Legends because of a new edition. Then they'll get web store only order, right? And then made to order. And then usually you'll see like a last chance to buy, or you'll see no longer available or currently unavailable. And that's when you'll start seeing that rotation start to happen. It's because they've reached their sales peak with that. They've sold down enough that, hey, we only have maybe 100 units or less on the shelf, and it's time to rotate them out. Let's go ahead and send them back or have our stores destroy them, which, of course they destroy them. But sometimes they'll send them back because they can crack open those boxes and put the miniature, especially the plastic ones, in their I'm just going to call it the shredder. And it shreds them down a little tiny bits. And then that gets recycled as recycled plastic for their molds. Now, that was very good here in the U.S. because it was perfect. Because the U.S. had their own facility where they were able, I think they had, I'm trying to remember how many machines I saw. I want to say it was 2 or 3 machines that you put the die-cast molds in, set them all up, and you can sit there and crank out a lot of the basic high purchase items like your Rhinos, your Space Marine squads, your Imperial Knights, not Imperial Knights, but Empire Knights for over Age of Sigmar, whatever it was that you were doing, skeletons, whatever they had available. So they would have that going on. But then eventually Games Workshop's, for some reason, and I think it was actually cutting costs. So they were selling down their machines, removing them from the GW facility, shredding them basically, or selling them off. That way they can show, hey, we've got an influx of capital, and it was good for, especially during the, I want to say 5th to 6th, around between 5th and 7th edition time frame when Kirby was all over the place, and they were trying to, Games Workshop saw a dip in sales. Anyways, all sorts of reasons that stuff goes on. So when you see that cycle of, hey, it's going to be moved to Legends, it's web store only, and then made to order, or it's no longer available, that sort of thing, then say goodbye. And it's slowly happening to all the Firstborn Marines. We're seeing it more and more, and I have a feeling that after this edition, that's going to be it. Maybe one more. They might try to squeeze it out, considering that their window for editions has now gone from, I think, 7 years to 5 years to 4. Now we're at 3, and now 3 years for a new edition, which is, in my opinion, ridiculous, especially the way that they crank out, how long it takes them to crank out all the product for a new edition. It takes them 3 years to crank out everything, and that's when they start to cycle over again. It's pointless. That's why some companies like One Page Rules are starting to rule. Interesting. At any rate, so that's why the Firstborn Marines are on their way out. The sales are down because Primaris Marines are just rocking it. Now, that doesn't mean that Games Workshop is going to stop trying to sell them. There's still some stuff available online, but you're going to start seeing, you can go right now and start seeing, oh, this currently isn't available, or it's no longer available, or it's last chance to buy. It's because it's getting rotated out. And that's a good thing because that means they can focus on making models, newer sculpts, and not have to fret about the old stuff, right? It's just time for change. And at the very least, if we can't get them to change their business model for game design and its release schedule, at least we're getting them to do it with the miniatures. We're at least getting a better quality models now. So that's one out of three things. The three things being better quality miniatures from a company that has boasted that they make the best miniatures in the world and sell them globally at a profit. So now we're getting better quality miniatures. And the other factor is their game design, which is not great. And the third thing is their pricing. They are way over on the pricing. And I understand they've got to especially increase the price from, I think it's $55 for a box of 10 intercessors in the UK. If you buy, according to US dollars. Over here, it's 65. I think that's right. It could be 53, 54. Anyways, it's about a $10 difference. I understand they got to do that to hedge their bets against the market and whatnot. But the prices, it's just bit out of control. I will not be surprised if in the near future Space Marines top out at around $75 for a 10-man box. I would say maybe even by the next edition we'll see that. I would not be surprised that it's $70, $75 for 10 intercessors. So buy your intercessors now, ladies and gentlemen. It's not fear to miss out. It's just kind of hedging your bets in the future. Anyways, that's all I've got for this episode. I'm still going to try to crank a couple things out, but my time is dwindling down. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about this analysis, this opinion of facts and fiction and thoughts and feelings and whatnot. No fiction. Well, I guess there is fiction because Space Marines don't exist yet. At any rate, let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. And please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and share this to your friends. I'd like to grow the channel so I can get back to doing giveaways. I'd like to be doing monthly giveaways on this channel and then every other month giveaway on Instagram. At any rate, I'll chat with you guys later. See ya.